following video is brought to you in part by Ridiculous Top Tens. Do you like funny things? Do you like supporting brand new YouTube channels? Do you have 90 seconds to spare? If you answered yes to any of these questions, visit youtube.com/@ridiculous top tens. Good afternoon, my dungeon boss brethren, and Taro Adun. It is Fad Friday. We're going to take a look at a pseudo unboxing of Goretusk, which is a new hero from this most recent event. Sorry, I don't know why I went to campaign. Go into our heroes here. Goretusk is a gold hero, so he will be eligible for gold and open PvP. Um, Based on the sheer abundance of tokens in this last event, he is 6-starred for me. That's going to make him incredibly viable in gold PvP, I think, because the star bonus, I've mentioned it many times, the difference 100% bonus versus 60% bonus is massive across the board. So if you started anywhere around the same time as me, you probably don't have a lot, if any, 6-star gold heroes or 6-star legendary heroes. So and truthfully, I don't even have very many 6-star silver heroes, if any. So having a 6-star person for Gold PvP League is a big win for you if you have him. If you spent the time grinding on him, he might be a great addition to PvP for you. So Goretusk was an interesting addition to the game way back when he was first released in the old game. He was a beast and he was a tank. One of the things interesting about him is I believe he was one of the first, if not the first ever hero to start taunting. And that just made PvP just super different at the time because you couldn't come in with fast heroes and start nuking some of these other opponents because you had to go through Goretusk first. And then ultimately Agnon came along with 3 times damage to tanks and taunters or whatever, and it would one-shot him pretty much any time. And then add runes on top of that, and he was mitigated. But he was part of a beast team. He's no longer a beast anymore, which that's okay with me. But he was part of a team of Solaris and Leo and one other beast basically, and it created these teams of just never-ending battles where they just keep resurrecting each other. It was absolutely brutal to go against. You could beat them easily enough in the long run, but it took forever to do. So it mitigated a lot of that progress towards top PvP ranking. Um, but he's certainly a fun one to play in PvP for his time. His character art, obviously nothing fantastic to start with, as we see with most heroes. He is half woolly mammoth and half presumably human. We can't see under his helmet, but I expect that he's a human. So that is a little bit about Goretusk to start with. As we get into his stats here, he's got 4 base traits to begin with. He is fast, which is uncharacteristic of a tank, so he will have a little bit less defense. I think that's fair given that his he's going to start taunting. In PvP, you're going to have to get around that, so a little bit less defense makes him a little bit easier to kill, if you will. Um, but he is hardy and has 15% more hit points, so pump him up to max level, and that might actually eclipse some of the highest health pools that we see in the game. That might actually make him pretty formidable, if you ask me, defense aside. Get a couple of character buffs on him, and who knows what the future holds. He also has insulated woolies, which is immune to chilled and frozen. Both of those are good little safeguards. Though to be honest, Goretusk is only he's only going to be on your team to soak damage. So the actual abilities that he does is really negligible. So being chilled or frozen doesn't do much. I think most people, if they're going to use Goretusk for either offense or defense, the only reason you put him in there is to get a quick taunt off. But he does have an innate 10% reduction in damage, presumably from all sources, so that's a free benefit there. And then lastly, the Taunter, he starts taunting for 3 turns. So you get that straight out of the box without any ascensions. Without any ascensions, he's going to be easily killed anyways. But his first ability is the Sweeping Onslaught. If we look at it, it's a melee physical attack on all enemies, so it's an AoE. Sets up stacks of Prone. We do like Prone. Prone makes them take more damage. And 2 stacks of Wounded on critical. To be honest, I'm really underwhelmed by critical in Dungeon Boss Respawn. I don't know if the numbers are any different than the original Dungeon Boss, but so rarely am I getting any crits from anybody. Even when I use like Echo to boost crit chance, it's just I'm rarely getting these extra procs of something something on critical, and so to get wounded on crit, yeah, that'd be great, but just don't expect it. Go for the prone, give them the extra damage. And then lastly, it gives 1 stack of empowered. So that's going to be empowered, presumably just for him and not for the group. Yeah, it does say right there, 3 turns to self. So empowered raises attack, lowers damage basically. So it's just your straight stat buff, if you will. So he does that and he gets a little bit stronger. Great for him. But you're doing it mostly for the prone and for the taunting. All right, let's go into his first ascension. First ascension is only a single regular celestial and 1 monarch celestial. So the actual ascension for ascension 1 is not so bad. We have 12, 6, 1, 1. That's not too shabby at all. Does have the one, yeah, brilliant. I think the brilliant Evo is the most obnoxious one because I think that's used in a lot of the serious upgrades for the light team, if you will. Don't quote me on that though. But let's go ahead and do that ascension. You can see he's getting 3 upgrades here. He's getting 2 traits and a skill. So 2 traits on that first ascension, and we like that. Character art got just a wee bit better. He actually looks like, actual kind of warrior now. No, he's not a warrior, but he's got a better axe and a little bit better look to him. So I like him there. Traits that he gained. Um, well, there were 3 things that were supposed to be shown there, but he definitely only has 1 additional trait unless I missed something. So Mammoth Guard, increased defense by 4% for all allies. I like that. Or 8% for ancient allies. It does say or, so yeah, it's you can't get both of them. It's either 4 or 8. It's not 2 different types. So ally is an ally. You're not going to get 12 because of an agent, so it'll just be an additional 4. Debuffs applied to this character last 1 less round. That's always nice. Applies taunting to self for 3 turns whenever another ally is defeated. I do like that. So somebody dies on the team, Goretusk comes around and says, "Hey, come attack me." Truthfully, that's not going to save the day or anything. It might save someone else from getting killed, but without resurrection on your team, you're still down by 1. Just going to spot check these other ones to make sure that there wasn't any updates. Hardy is still the same. Insulated Woolies is still the same. Taunter is still the same. I don't know why there's 3 things on the Ascension piece. So he's got Avalanche. Range physical attack on target for a number. Apply stun natively, not on crit. So hit them and stun them. Stun is a great effect. And deals 50% damage to armored. So you get to get bonus damage on armored opponents. So I'll take that. It'd be great to run against Rogar, but unfortunately they're not going to cross paths in PvP. Starts powered. I always like abilities that start powered if there are at least 2 other water allies on the team, so not always starting powered. I am going to make sure that Sweeping Onslaught did not change either. And that's that. So it's got an energy cost of 4, so the cooldown isn't terrible. You will get this a couple turns in, um, but you need 2 other water allies for it to start power. That's a tall order. I know that there's some water teams for gold PvP right now, so that might be an option, but you know, it is what it is. Again, oh, I see. I see what the other third thing is. It's boosted. He's boosted because of the current PvP week. That was not part of his ascension. That's why we've a third thing on there. Makes sense now. His second ascension, we're looking at 3 and 3 for the Celestial Evo, so a little bit more pricey. 15-5, 3-3. Um, one additional trait, one additional skill. His character art started to add some of the bedazzling now to it, so he looks a little bit more like he does in his other portrait. So now he looks, cool. He does have a skin, being that he was released after Christmas. We didn't get it this time around. I would expect to see this at next year's Winterfest, his little polar bear outfit, if you will. So that is that. But back to his traits, I will look at the last trait here. So he has momentum. At the end of the round, this character gains 1 stack of empowered for 3 turns. We talked about empowered just a moment ago, so basically a self buff, stat buff. If the character has 5 stacks of empowered, their damage is increased by an initial 100%. So get to 5 stacks of empower and you double your damage. So I don't know how easy or hard that's going to be. If you have other teammates that give stack of empowered, now that might be a way to buff him up. I don't know that I'm gonna try to cater around that one particular mechanism because let's be honest here, Goretusk is not in there to do attack damage. So um, let's just say um, doubling 0 is still 0. So his attack is not going to be anything. So don't get too excited about that until we maybe get runes in there where we can really crank up his attack where that actually matters. I wouldn't put too much on this. It's a nice little perk, but it's not going to be a game changer. That's not why you're using Goretusk in the first place. And then his last ability, Tusk Charge. Melee physical attack on a target for a number that applies 3 stacks of wounded. So in this case here, we get the wound without having to do the crit. If the target was defeated, all allies gain a stack of empowered. We do like the bonus of empowered, but again, how often do you expect Goretusk to kill anybody? Being a tank, I just don't see it happening too often, so it's a nice little perk. You are honestly doing this ability here for the wound with its 3 turn cooldown. That's actually not too bad. So, in most instances on PvP offense, you'll be going with the sweeping onslaught first, wait a turn or two, tusk charge, and then follow it up with avalanche. And hopefully by that point, the match is over. Obviously, in PvP defense, he'll just go 1, 2, 3. So, all things considered, I don't really get why he is a gold hero versus maybe a silver. I don't see him as having really game breaking passives. The starting taunting, and maybe that's part of it, is just the fact that he starts taunting makes him much more valuable than any other tank, and maybe that's why they're going to make his tokens a little bit harder to get. I'm not really sure, but his other ones, there's a lot of if then things and not a lot of guarantees. So if this thing happens, yeah, then you get a bonus, but I mean, you have to cater around that. I have to see what his health pool looks like with this 15% once I get him up to 80. Um, but I mean, being fast, his defense is going to be lower. I don't think he's going to be difficult to kill, especially if Agnon meta continues. I mean, people using Agnon, they're still going to womp him pretty good, I think. So unless we can get some shielding on him with maybe running dual tanks or something like that, that might be a thing. The other thing you could consider is starting with the taunt. You might use somebody like Zen to make him invulnerable. I mean, there's some big uses there. Um, So Zen Goretusk in PvP might want to consider that. I would probably do that for a PvP offense because PvP defense you could still get around it with some other things. Maybe people who ignore taunt um, or Jin to silence if you're talking open league, for example. Um, so I think I don't know. He might have a great fit into PvE dungeons. I'm on the fence about where he's going to work with PvP attacks. The only saving grace right now for PvP, like I said, is that 6 star. It's going to be hard to ignore that, especially if you're trying to do well in Gold League. But I'm not really sure where he falls just yet. But aside from that, nothing really else to cover with him. I don't have him leveled up to the point where I can really use him in PvP to demonstrate anything now. So I think we'll leave him at that. But um, yeah, so his health right now is 5600 at level 30. I don't know that I have anybody comparable to that. Let's just look at another tank. So if I look at a different tank that is lower, I don't have many. Let's say Igorok, he's fairly low. His health is 58. So yeah, I mean Goretusk is 14 levels lower and has as much health as Igorok. Igorok has historically had high health pool. I think Furnace historically has a high one as well. 51 actually, he's fairly low. So yeah, that massive health pool might be something for him. But anyways, that's a little bit about Goretusk and his unboxing. So if you have a team that uses Goretusk in PvP on either side of the fence, I would certainly like to hear it. I'm looking at dabbling into a couple of gold teams right now. XP potions are a little bit scarce, so it's tough to get anybody that's into a competitive spot here. I have done a couple of matches with a gold team that I'm labbing for next Thursday, but um, it's tough sledding. Gold is a weird PvP league because your power healers, Yasmin and Nub Nub, are bronze, so they're excluded from gold leagues. So finding a alternate healer that's going to really power you through there is at least nobody's standing out on my roster yet. I wanted people that were 6 stars, and I just don't have them. But anyways, that's Goretusk. Next week we'll bring up Kelpie, and that'll be the last of our 4 new heroes, and then we'll go back to highlighting whoever. So, um, anyways, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching, and remember, I make YouTube videos for the American working man, because that's what I am, and that's who I care about.